Welcome to the first episode of Amped Angling. I am your host, Connor Compton, and today I'm fishing with my co-host and cameraman, Bryce.
What's up?
So today the plan is we're going to go out looking for some creek chubs. This is kind of an easy first episode, I think, for me. It's something I've done up in the Black Hills here quite a bit. It's a perfect time of year, you know, later in the fall, those big fish, pike, walleyes, you know, trout, bass. Quite a few fish go after them. So those fish are looking to put on their feed bags before winter. So we're just going to give you a guide on how to catch some of those. Alright, so here we are at one of the first spots along the creek where we know some creek chubs are. If you haven't really fished for them before, one of the easiest ways to tell if they're in the creek is, you know, you just walk a little stretch and you'll see them. You'll see them in kind of some of the pools along the river next to some fast moving water. They'll typically be sitting up next to some bigger rocks or weeds, that kind of thing. And they're actually pretty easy to catch. So what I got today is just a small octopus hook, pretty simple. And you can see I'm running mono or fluorocarbon are probably the best line for this. They're going to float down the creek easily without catching around rocks. If you use braid, you might wrap in the rocks, you'll get snagged a little more. You can see I don't have a weight on here either. That helps for when I'm casting in the water. I won't spook the chubs as easily. You'll be able to catch a few more of them in one spot. So I'm just going to show you here. All you need is probably a third or a fourth of a night crawler. They're pretty aggressive, and you want something some of those smaller ones can fit in their mouth too. Pretty simple, just run it through the hook, enough to keep it on there. Something like that basically. So now we're ready to get fishing. Oh, there we go, got one biting. There we go. First creek chub of the day. Finally got to a spot where they're biting, it looks like. I'll show you guys what they look like here. Let me get this hook out of him first. Alright, set my rod down. So here we go. Woo. So little creek chub. This size is probably a lot better for catching walleyes. I'm going to put them in my bucket here. Probably the better size for catching walleyes or bass, something a little smaller. You'll definitely still catch some pike on them, but we like some a little bit bigger ones for that. Let's see if we can get another couple here to show you. Got a bite. Good sign. A lot more active here than the other spots we're trying, looks like already. So. Missed him. That one was a little too small. Didn't fit the hook in his mouth quite. I think they're by the weeds over here. I'm gonna get a little bit better angle for casting over where they're at. There we go. There we go. There's a little nicer one. Oh no! Fell off. Okay. He'll bite again though. Ooh, another small one. Sensing a trend here. There we go. Another small size creek chub here, about the same as before. Nice little guy. Put him in my bucket here. Oh, too fast. There we go. Getting slightly bigger. Still not the size we want quite for those big pike yet, but we'll find a couple of them. This one isn't too bad. This is kind of on the very small end of what I'd probably use for trying to fish for pike here. You can see he's still kind of a little guy. We want him a few inches bigger than that to really be going for those big pike. There's another little guy. Throw him in the bucket. The nice thing about a lot of these streams too is you can catch creek chubs in a spot, and you know, you come back a few days later, they'll still be there. You obviously don't want to keep the whole population out of the stream, but you can come back, you know, relatively a lot of times, and they'll still be filled in pretty nice in those pools. Oh, there was a big one. No, that one was actually really big. That was a big creek chub. There we go. There's a little nicer one. Just had on a bigger one than this, but this is probably a pretty good size for fishing for those big pike. That's mostly what we're fishing for around here. So I'll get him unhooked and show you guys. It's hard to hold a little guy like this. Get in his mouth here. So here's kind of the nicer size we're looking for. This will go well on a set line for a nice big pike. And I want to get him in that bucket because you want to keep him nice and lively, because the idea is you're going to typically put them on a set line and they're going to swim around, and creek chubs are really active, so just that movement when they're darting around in the water is going to attract those big fish, especially when they're more aggressive. One of the better baits you can go to. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. If you want to come look over here, Bryce, we've got a decent amount of chubs in the bucket, you know, enough to fish with for sure. So typically we catch a lot more than that, and we can kind of sort and keep some of the bigger ones to go fishing with. But this week we've had some weird weather. It snowed a little bit. It was like 30 degrees, you know, it got down in the 20s overnight, so I think they're a little not as active right now. But, you know, next time we go, we'll probably do it better again. But, you know, we caught enough to kind of show you how to catch them, give you some tips. And again, this is my first video on this channel, so I'm going to try and put up some informational videos, probably some fishing vlogs, thing like that. You know, if we hook into a big fish, we'll definitely try and videotape that, throw it up on there. So if you guys have suggestions for things you want to see in a video, or, you know, any comments or anything, just leave those down below. Thanks for watching.